Sometimes most people are pretty good at putting up a front and they don't feel the need to ask for help. So you have to ask people for help.
In today's world, it's so common for women to act like we have it all together and that we are these perfect independent creatures who don't need anybody. And that's totally okay. But it's also okay to lean on the people closest to you for emotional support or, you know, just to have somebody there for you.
Hey babes,
I'm Madeline.
and I'm Deja,
and welcome back to the Elegance Exchange. So life has its ups and downs, and the people closest to you are the ultimate support system. And, you know, every movie has its moment where there's two best friends, maybe take Sex and the City for example, that's one of my favorite shows, and they're just sitting there talking about life, and they are honestly in a bad mood, and they're both upset typically, and they just lean on each other for support, and they talk to each other, and, you know, they typically will feel better after it because they've gotten to sit together and reflect on their emotions and their feelings, and a lot of the times it just helps. It helps to talk to your best friend. I know it definitely does for me talking
as
to
well.
Deja. So, you know, letting somebody in is not a sign of defeat, and it's not a sign of weakness.
No, not at all. If anything, strength is knowing when to let someone in. I feel like these days we get our, like, when something is when we're dealing with something, we don't want to constantly be like, I don't want to be annoying and tell this person all about my problems, or, you know, I don't want to see like a bother. So you kind of like hold all these problems, all these things that are bothering you in your head, and then, you know, you never say it. So then you just get overwhelmed. And sometimes it's best to know, like, you know, I'm gonna go talk to my friend because I need to. I need to get this stuff off my chest because the more I hold it in, the more stressed I'm gonna be.
Right, and a lot of the times in books, for a lot of you guys that, you know, read it, a lot of the times in these books, the main character will cry and, you know, she'll have bottled all of these emotions in, and then the other character, maybe the love interest or maybe one of the best friends, will be like, why didn't you come to me? You know, we could have talked about this. I could have at least, you know, assured you that you weren't alone and that it's okay to feel this way. But strength is being vulnerable, and strength is showing each other that you do have emotions and that you can feel things. Honestly, it's what makes you human, and it's what makes you beautiful.
You don't need to be made of steel. You don't have to put this constant front that, like, I don't need anyone, I'm independent, I don't need help. Like, that's not the vibe we want to give. Like, if you need help, there's gonna be points in life where it is gonna test you, and you're gonna be at a pretty low spot. Exactly. Like, you're gonna want help, and that's okay. You're allowed to ask for help. You do not need to continue having this little front of, like, I don't need anyone, I'm not gonna ask Madeline for help, I don't need anything.
Think about it. Friendship isn't one-sided. How many times have your friends come to you and, you know, maybe talked about a bad day, or how their class was awful, or how they hated what their boyfriend told them? You know, friendship isn't one-sided. You are both there for each other, or if you're not, then, you know, maybe that's an evaluation for another day. But friendship is not one-sided, and you are so needed in every way, just like your friend is needed. So, you know, really lean on that shoulder to cry on.
And let's think vice versa too. When your friends need help, you are always there to help them. If anything, if Madeline was dealing with something personal, I'd want her to tell me, hey, let me know if you need anything, because I would help her. It's your friend. You would help them in an instant. Your friends, you're allowed to have your friends feel that same way for you too. Lean on that shoulder that they're getting, like they're offering you. If you need to, you know, that's why they're there. That's why they're your friends. They want what's best for you too, just like you've given them the support they need at their rough times.
And if anything, this can benefit your friendship. I know that's kind of hard to think about, and a lot of, like Deja said, a lot of the times you can feel like a nuisance. You can feel like you're annoying, but telling your friend what is happening in your life honestly builds connections, and it builds that trust that, oh yes, we are friends, you can lean on me, and we understand each other. It builds that trust, and that's so important in a friendship. If you can't trust each other, then, you know, what are you doing?
And same thing with, like, your friends. People want to help. You know, like, everyone wants to help you. There's always someone that's gonna be there to help you because they want what's best for you. They don't want you to feel like you're alone. They don't want you to feel like you have to do everything by yourself. People want to help.
Right, and wouldn't you be there for your best friend if they needed help? Absolutely.
I know, I would, 100%.
Right? I know. The second somebody tells me they're sick, I'm like, oh, do you want chicken noodle soup? Like, what do you want? You know,
Exactly.
I'm there to
Do you
help.
need me to come over and maybe, like, take you out or something?
Exactly. I love helping people. That's something that I've always enjoyed.
And if anything, I think this is the big takeaway. People can't help you if you don't ask. I've had so many instances in my life where someone will be going through something and then, like, I will never know. And then, like, they'll eventually just, you know, it gets overwhelming and they'll eventually break and they'll be like, I've been dealing with this and this and this and this and this. And
like,
they're like,
whoa, where did this come from? Like, what happened? You know?
Because you do not know. You need to let people know when you need help because you can't. I feel like sometimes most people are pretty good at putting up a front and they don't feel the need to ask for help. So you have to ask people for help.
Exactly. You know, think of all of these CEOs. Do you think they handle everything on their own? No. That's why they have assistants. That's why they have hundreds of people underneath them in the company. You can't do it all, even if you're the boss. It's just how it is. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. If anything, if you know you need help, that's perfect. It puts you in a better place than a lot of people who can't admit that they need help. So, you know, it's just how you perceive it and knowing that people want to help, people are there for you, and it builds trust. It's just a great way to look at it and shift your perspective because at the end of the day, the people around you are the people that you need the most. So we're going to give you some solutions as always, mentioning something small at first. So maybe I come talk to Deja, right? And I'm in a bad mood and everything's piling up. And so maybe I'll start out the conversation with like, oh my gosh, I almost slammed the door in my fingers this morning and it almost hurt so bad. That really frustrated me and set my day off like really bad.
Exactly.
Deja's then going to be like, oh, well, what happened? Like, are you okay? What's going on?
Exactly. Do you need anything?
And then that opens the door for that deeper conversation of, oh, well, you know, maybe my professor said that I was failing this class, or maybe the job that I wanted didn't happen and I didn't even get the interview. You know, it just opens the doorway to possibilities, and it kind of lets you gauge the other person's reaction to you talking about your problems. Because if they shut it down, obviously you're not going to want to talk about it. But if they invite it, then that kind of gives you that opening of like, oh, okay, I can talk about this. This is a safe space.
Another thing is, you know, we also preach this those self-help books.
Oh yes, and my favorites.
And it's good with helping shift your perspective on things. You know, like it really does kind of clear your head and give you a better way of thinking and looking at some things differently, so that it's not so much on you at the moment.
I will and have always said on this podcast that Mel Robbins is one of my go-tos. And
she's great.
Yes, she has a book called The Let Them Theory, and I was reading that book, and so many of the things that she wrote in there connected to me because she writes about what a lot of people go through and what are some common experiences and how to apply them to your life and how to fix them. And so these self-help books can really help you apply them to your life and help you give the solutions to yourself in order to fix all of the issues. And, you know, maybe start with your therapist if you feel like you don't have a friend or a parent or somebody else that you can rely on.
I would definitely recommend going into therapy. I feel like nowadays therapy has kind of like, I don't want to say like a bad viewing, but it's almost like, oh my gosh, like
everyone goes to therapy.
Like you have to go to therapy, like you feel the need to go to therapy, like it's just like, you really have to go. Yes, you just give it a chance. Give it a chance. I even know, you know, some people were telling me, they're like, you know, maybe you should try. And even then I was like, I don't really need therapy.
And
like,
then
I'm fine.
And she loved it.
Exactly. It's like, I'm fine. I don't need, you know, therapy. Like, I think I'm pretty good in life. And then it's like, oh, okay. Because it's just someone that's there to listen. That's all there is. It's someone there to listen.
It's somebody who has literally gone to school to listen to all of these problems and kind of diagnose what you're going through and understand exactly how to help you get through this tough moment, and that's perfect.
Exactly. And they kind of they also give you advice speaking of therapists, another person too, maybe even someone older, you know,
Yes.
someone that has gone through some of this stuff, someone that's gone through the same thing that you have gone through, because most of the time they usually do. I feel like with life that most people go through the same things, even if it's just a slightly different, but the lesson's still the same and it's still the same outcome. So surely someone will go with you.
And guys, I preach this all the time. You know, this older person does not have to be older than you by years and years and years. Honestly, somebody who is 1 year older or 2 years older than you is going to be your best bet when it comes to situations that you're dealing with, you know, work or school, because they were just there. They were just there, and so they know exactly how you're feeling. It hasn't been so long where they can't even remember what that moment felt like.
Exactly. I have people still in high school, like maybe 2 years younger than me,
Right,
that still come up
out
to me and they'll be like, how did you feel when this happened? Or what did you do during this? It's just, we've gone through the same thing, and I'm sure there's other people that have also gone through the same thing.
Exactly. So with that being said, you know, I hope everything works out, and I hope that this episode made you realize that, you know, you can rely on other people a little bit more. But we are, you know, on a bunch of different social media platforms.
We're on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. We're also on Instagram Threads as well.
Yes.
And then we're currently trying out Apple, so we'll see how that goes.
And yeah, so we are on all those different social media, you know, outlets, and all of the links are linked down in the bio of this video as well. There's also another video that is similar to this one linked down there, so maybe if you want a little bit more guidance or a little bit more, you know, wisdom, you can go check that out. And yeah, alright, with that being said, we love you.
Bye babes.